Flourishing, transforming Africa. I believe this voice and image finds you well. We are grateful to God who has kept us alive. And if there anything maybe you hoped for in the morning and hasn't been achieved, it's not the end. There is tomorrow. That should be a source of hope and inspiration. So there is always tomorrow. But we should not again procrastinate simply because there is always tomorrow. I greet you all, and as the team of Flourishing Hub, we say praise the Lord. We are grateful that we are all alive and still acknowledging and proclaiming the goodness of the Lord. This is Flourishing Hub with me, Adrian Austin Mukalazi. Flourishing Hub is a program brought to you by Young and Flourishing Foundation, which later will become the Young and Flourishing Network. So this network is me and you. So we are all together, the Young and Flourishing Network. Now, Young and Flourishing is built on 4 pillars, which we need to know. One of these pillars is money. We want money, yes, and very many people want money. But you know the principles of money? So Young and Flourishing introduces these principles to you. One of the principles is working. So you work for this money, you you save the money, and the most important principle is investment. So they open up your mind to the investment opportunities. Now that is the second pillar, which is daring. There are very many opportunities, untapped opportunities that your mind might be closed to. So what Young and Flourishing does is to open these opportunities so that they can later become world-class businesses. Don't you want to be a world-class innovator, a world-class business person? Young and Flourishing is the only place to be. The third pillar is mentorship. Here we all need people who have been in places where we want to be, people who have tried and failed and tried again and succeeded. We need their inspiration. We need to walk into their footsteps. Now, if you do not have a mentor, then you might end up moving like wind. You have no direction. Where it blows is where you go. So Young and Flourishing offers you these mentors, or even introduces the importance of mentorship to you. And the fourth and last strategy, which is also very important, pillar is strategy, which is also very, very important. Now, in strategy, this is planning. So this is a new month, and as a new month, have you already laid down your plans for the month? Do you even have a plan? Have you evaluated last month? So Young and Flourishing tells you the importance of being strategic, because if you do not have a plan as an individual, then you'll always be in other people's plans. Wow. It is so amazing that we are blessed. This is a new month. We wish you a happy new month, but we are also aware that today has been the beginning of term 1 2023. I know very many of you are a little tired because you've been up and down, either taking back the children to school, or some of you have resumed waking up very early to prepare the little ones, take them to school and pick them in the evening, a lot. So you're trying to get back to the life you were in last year, but all will be well in Jesus' name. So amazingly, we have someone here who is one of the mentors in Young and Flourishing Foundation. She's also a teacher, by the way. So we are glad that she's here with us this evening, Mrs. Monica Agaba. Mrs. Monica Agaba, you're most welcome. Happy New Year. It has been long when you last appeared here on Young and Flourishing. But we thank God you're here. So you've spared this evening for us.
Amen.
Yes. How have you been?
I'm okay. I'm well, as you can see.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
School has resumed. How is school?
School has resumed, of course, as hectic as ever. This is a time where there are a lot of post-COVID effects. The senior ones are roaming and rampantly looking for vacancies in every school, and bearing in mind that P6 members, most of them had to rush to write the P7 exams because of the age difference. So that is how we have been since the term began.
Wow. But you will go through. I know. So today we are looking at self-esteem, and I believe this topic comes at a very rightful moment. So we are dealing with self-esteem. I know very many children have been belittled, they have been disillusioned by their parents, by their peers. I think before we even go back or go deeper into today's topic, we shall first of all start with what is making news around. You know, there was a WhatsApp message that raised a lot of issues. It started moving around last year, early December, where a parent was complaining that school A has a teacher initiated their child into homosexuality and this has made headlines everywhere in Parliament. Now every school is trying to make sure that they sensitize their learners about how evil and how bad this is. I think we can start from that very point because this is also in line with self-esteem. But let us first work on this vice and then we shall get back.
Thank you so much, Edrin. It's been my prayer that I get an opportunity one day to talk to the youth out there and the children about homosexuality and, of course, all those vices that go with it. I'm a Christian. I'm a mother. So my heart bleeds every time I read those kinds of messages. For schools, one cannot ascertain whether the vice is there or not, but we believe these are things we shouldn't keep in the hiding area. They are happening. And they happened right from a time when they were not open to social media. And today that social media is open to them, the situation is even becoming worse. So it is true in our societies, in our country, even here where we are standing in Kampala, this vice is taking up a lot of interest in people's mind, and people are there debating about it without even going to find out on the base what is really happening and how they can be able to help these children. Some of them are now looking at it as something which can make news and put them on the face of social media.
Exactly.
They are not digging. We need to go back, go to these schools and directly sensitize our children. Go to our homes, look at the foundation of it all. Where is it coming from? And be able to address it. Otherwise, we are perishing very soon. And Adrian, if I could briefly bring the Bible into this.
Please, should do.
Romans, when you read Romans chapter 1, from verse 18 to verse 32. Romans chapter 1, verse 18 to verse 32. The Bible talks a lot about homosexuality. Like, talks about every other thing, good and evil, that happens in our society. Some of you or some of us read it as just as a book. But this is a book we need to read and put to heart. That is Paul's letter to the Romans. And if maybe I can read briefly chapter 18 and 32 only, the rest people will read. Please go and read it. Chapter 18
I think they can
says,
also use it as a reference as they are speaking to their children.
Exactly. Chapter 18 says, the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. And then chapter 32. Although they know God is righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they do not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. What is our role? We know that the Bible clearly says that those people who are having same-sexual marriages, they deserve to die. But what is our own role? How do we rescue these from the den of those lions that are taking them one by one? Our role is not now to suppress them, to throw them in that den. Let us go back on the foundation and find ways we can help these people, even those that are already involved. Because if we alienate ourselves, these are our children, these are our brothers and sisters. Some of them we see, we know, but there are those we don't know. So we need to come up with a strategy, how we can fish all of them out and build their self-esteem. Help them to come back to the drawing line of where they fell, and then bring them back to God.
Wow. So before even we leave that point, we've seen very many schools are trying to publish messages and putting them all over the compound, posters on every class entrance, say no to homosexuality, say no to drugs, say no to this. Do you think this is enough as sensitization, or there is a lot that needs to be done? Because you're a teacher at Mengo Secondary School, and there are very many other teachers or stakeholders in the education department, but also the parents. Do you think this is enough sensitization, or there is a lot that needs to be done in order to create awareness so that children can know that this is evil and not acceptable in the eyes of God?
Thank you so much, Adrian. There is a lot that meets the eye. We have a big role to play. And one thing we have to first do is admit the fact that this vice has come and it is within us. If we don't admit and we try to cover it up, to dress it up, if you go to those schools they are talking about, they will deny. Even those which were very physical. Recently there was a school where they call it SOSH. The girls and girls were holding each other. Yes. One is a man, another one is a woman. And nearly like 10 couples are matching, and you take it for granted within what is happening today. We are covering it up in order to protect our schools, to protect our dignity, to protect. Now, the moment we do not come out to first see that this has come and we need to address it in order to stop it, by the time we are midway, we shall have lost very many people than we expect. So there is a lot to be done. It is not only about a poster, but go ahead and speak. Let us have many people to admit that this vice is there, and we speak to these people. We actually investigate and know who these people are in our societies, so that we single them out and find a way of helping them. They are there hidden because they know that the moment they speak the truth, that they are part of the LGBT, as they tend to bring it in order to face value it. And use the word that may not be like a catching word.
Then so, it can be a little attractive.
It can be a little attractive, not understandable. When you talk of lesbianism, homosexuality, even the person in the village will understand. Yes. But when you say LGBT, no one will understand what it really means. So if we don't address those vices, they are there in our communities, in our churches, in our schools. People bring children to church, and they are being used like that, and they are threatened, they cannot speak, and then we only put a poster and that is it. we need to go down and identify one by one. And if possible, let us have one-on-one talks with our children, in schools, at home. We need to dig deep and find these people, talk to them. That is how we shall help those who have not yet been involved. Apart from posters and all those things, we need to sacrifice ourselves and talk to these people. Tell them the dangers. Tell them the reasons why it is here. And all the dangers that are coming up with it. And if possible, we have those people who are testifying, and they talk to them. Recently, I learned about all those negative effects of homosexuality, but I've not seen any single person. They say they wear pads. We should bring out someone wearing a pad, and our boys will see him. We'll see how the intestines are throwing themselves outside. And maybe they will fear by it being more visual than only talks.
Wow. Now that brings us to today's topic, which is self-esteem. I know very many children have been lured, very many young people have been lured into such acts, into such vices because of the low self-esteem. So, like you say, that some of the children even shy away. Some of the children are used, but they suffer silently because they are not confident enough to speak out what they're going through. Now, this is all a problem or a challenge of self-esteem. Now, we start from the very definition of self-esteem. How can you break it down to someone watching us this evening? Self-esteem.
Thank you so much. We are going to look at self-esteem as the personal value.
Yes.
What is that confidence that is in you that helps you to distinguish yourself? Self-esteem. What is that value that you perceive, or that we perceive ourselves based on different opinions? So it is the self-value, self-confidence, and definitely confidence in one's worth. Knowing that you are valuable, you can value yourself, and other people can value you, that is self-esteem.
Okay. Now we look at the relationship or the connection between low self-esteem and abusive relationship.
Wow. That's a very broad topic. Abusive relationships.
But we can find ways.
Self-esteem.
Yes.
That is the background I was talking about earlier. The foundation. In the Bible, there is where it says, don't remember the verse, that when the foundation is broken, even if you build this whole building, it will still go back down.
Sure.
So we need to go back to where the foundation is laid. And mostly the foundation is laid in these relationships. Here I'm going to use the relationships of families. A family is comprised of a man and wife, husband and wife. How is their relationship? Some of them, it is very abusive, even in front of the children. A child is there, the father hits the mother, or the mother hits the father. They always say we talk about the father hitting the mother, but they are saying that even things are changing, even us women, that we can hit the men.
Especially
I wonder how.
this year. This year it has been worse.
But remember, hitting, abusing, emotionally, mentally, all those are part of abusive relationships. But this child is there. She's observing, she's absorbing. And as she grows up, those are things that are still ringing in his mind. And that child, his self-esteem will never grow. Because every time he's going to take a step, he remembers the family background, where he is coming from, how abusive the father is, how abusive the mother is. Some of the children are growing in homes where they themselves are being abused. Some of the children are growing in homes where parents so and so died, and the cause of the death wasn't identified, but this child knows the cause of the death as the fight they had, and either a woman fell or the husband fell. And this child is not able to say it to the public, but he himself knows it within himself. And so, as he's growing up, his self-esteem is very low because of that kind of environment. He's tortured psychologically, and most of them feel maybe it is their fault. Maybe it is my fault. And then some of the parents, when they're abused like that, the mother will come out and say, if it wasn't for you, I would have left this family. And then the child would imagine, okay, it is because of me that my mother is suffering. So whenever he takes a step, he knows that he is the cause of the mother's suffering. The rest, the father is abusing the mother. If it wasn't for these bogus children of yours, then the boy will be, okay, I'm bogus, I'm stupid. Every word that you use as a parent is affecting this child, and definitely the emotions, everything lead to to low self-esteem. So it is our duty as parents to make sure that however much we are living in a broken home, however much we are living in a broken society, we should account for our actions. Let us account and know that our actions are impacting negatively on other people, especially on these children. But how about these children who are living in such relationships? If you have known that you're living in an abusive relationship, always learn something positive out of the things that are very negative. Either if your father is a hitter, if your father is an abuser, you make a decision that for you, you will never be, you be the opposite of such a bad character, than picking up from where he stopped. And you find you're abusing children at school, you're abusing children at home. When you get married, you abuse your wife or you abuse your husband because of your family background.
Doesn't this go back to the mentorship we are talking about, that, yeah, sometimes it is beyond the child's power to oppose it? Because this is something you've seen happening at home from childhood. So I think there comes a time when children think this is how things should be. I know we grew up hearing of some tribe which says that in that particular tribe, if a husband doesn't beat you, then they don't love you. I don't know how true that is. I'm yet to find out. But don't you think even such tales, because I look at a young man who marries from that particular tribe with such a perspective, don't you think they're also going to end up beating up their wives because of that? They think this is the only way I can show my wife that I love her.
The good thing, that tribe, people always say they are the Wachiga tribe of where I belong. And it is true, it used to happen.
It used
to happen, but things have changed and we have moved on. If you married your wife, if you don't slap her, she will think that you're weak. And maybe she would also try to slap you back, and then it would be an equalizer. But things have changed. We have gone to school. Our people, the world is now a second class or even the first class world? So those things no longer happen.
So,
but definitely, as you're saying, there is a way, even today, the people you see, the bigger people you see, you can see a man, he's very respectable outside, but when he gets home, things are very different. You know why? Because there is a way he grew up, and that is the way he wants to live. But that is imposing a lot of abusiveness on other people. But it is directly within him. It is also the low self-esteem. This is no longer about only the youth. It is even about us old people. There is that grew up in you. Maybe you saw your mother being abused. Maybe as a child you were abused in one way or the other, but you beat against all odds and made it on some level. There is
also another feeling that some of us think, some people out there, that because they grew up being abused, or being, a lot of lamentations and what, and all those bitter words thrown unto them. So they manage to thrive and make it in life. So I think this is the order of the day. If you speak good words to this child, they'll grow up a spoiled child. They'll grow up a lazy child. So you need to be harsh on them, use these bitter words, and then that is the better way to bring them, to groom them. So I think there is a lot when it comes to what you're talking about.
That's when mentors come in. That is when a person needs to move out there, interact with other people, and come to know how the world has changed.
Okay.
Because what applied when I was 6 years old, it no longer applies today when my daughter is 6.
You've reminded me of the famous feminist, Honorable Matembe.
That's my lady.
She was sharing with us and told us that as they're growing up, two things. One, their father told them that if you ever take alcohol, you'll become a lion. So one time they wanted to try it out. So they went to a pot of malwa. Now, as they were still trying with the straws, their father found them and came running and said, "You children, what are you trying to do?" So when the children asked, they were all frightened. And then the father said, he asked them, "Have you tasted?" They said, "No, we didn't." So he said, "Thank God. Where was I going to put the two lions?" So she said that alone restrained them from taking alcohol. But I think that cannot apply in this generation.
Maybe it restrained her, but then it made her a lion in one way, a positive one.
Okay. So
that desire.
Before we go for a break, Monica, do you think self-esteem can influence peer pressure?
Yeah, very much so. Peer pressure can influence self-esteem. Mostly, peer pressure can influence self-esteem, and self-esteem can also influence peer pressure. There is a way anyway, like the way we talked about the family background. A student comes to school, but he's overly dependent on these peers. He looks at them, they're very outgoing, they can laugh freely. For him, you can't laugh freely because of reasons A, B, C, D, F, G. When I went to St. Mary's St. Mary's College, Rosa, my first friends were Rwandese ladies. But there is a way I was quite inferior. Inside, I was quite inferior. Though I wouldn't show it outside, and they were my close friends. Anyway, but if they had been badly behaved, maybe they would have influenced me. Because there was that sense of, I'm not complete, something is missing. That is low self-esteem. Yes. And so when you have that, then it influences the peer pressure because you feel you want to be like so-and-so. If she's outgoing, you also feel because she dresses like this, that is the reason she's outgoing. Then you're vulnerable to those bad decisions. That low self-esteem. And the higher one is also susceptible to peer pressure, by the way, the influence. So the order is two-way. The higher self-esteem can also be susceptible to peer pressure, but low self-esteem can influence the way you behave with your friends. And if they lead you astray, you run like never before.
We are taking a short commercial break, and when we come back, we are continuing with the discussion on self-esteem, because we understand with low self-esteem, our children will be perverted. So we need to build this self-esteem in them. But you as a parent, do you have the self-esteem? One of the ways in which we can transform Africa is having the right mindset. So what Flourishing Hub does is to give you the right mindset. And today, the right mindset we are giving you is about self-esteem. Now, before we continue, I'll bring in this story. That this is actually a true story. It happened to me. I don't talk about the level, I don't talk about the school, but one of my teachers, he was a teacher of mathematics, you know. He's a very good teacher. He's still a teacher. He's a very good teacher. But each time he came to class to teach, and some of us who were not good performers in mathematics had questions, he used to say, don't worry, you'll pass subject A. Don't worry, this subject is not for everyone. You're not supposed to pass every subject. And now that tormented us as young children. It tormented us, and in the end, it affected our performance in mathematics. And each time I look at this poor mark on my pass slip, I remember the teacher's words. So this is how much words can demoralize, can belittle someone to even affect their performance. Now our children are going back to school. Some are still at home. They're actually watching. There are parents who are watching with their children this evening, but there are also teachers who are victims of this. So a teacher, and I know Mrs. Agaba is a teacher of English, so because this subject, this particular child doesn't perform well in English, no, don't worry, you'll pass history, or you'll pass you'll pass CRE or any other subject, you know. Please, before we even continue with this, kindly, as a counselor, as a teacher, what advice do you have for parents and adults on how to build self-esteem and that feeling of security to young people? Because words build but also break.
Yeah.
Words broke us and we ended up performing poorly because of someone's statement. How I wish these words were positive. We would have maybe a better grade. Who knows?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Words. The Bible warns us so much on the power of the tongue. The Bible continues to say that the tongue is the smallest part of the body, but it is so destructive that once it sets on destroying something or you as an individual, no one will ever find you. And so, when it comes to our children as parents, when it comes to schools, words have destroyed our children. Yesterday, and the whole of this weekend and part of this week, like yesterday, learners were busy here and there, running helter-skelter, looking for vacancies. I met many of them in Mengo. And those that I met, I also had some that I had brought, but somehow they didn't get the vacancies because people were too many. But how do you encourage this learner who so badly needs to be in this school, Mengo, and you show her that she's going to make it even when she's not in Mengo? I met someone, and when he saw the grade, the girl had 18. Of course, I knew they would not give her, but I tried. We tried anyway. But someone met him and was like, how can your child have 18 and you bring him to Mengo? You know, that is not the class. But you don't know how she got the 18 mark. What if she had been ill? What if she did exams on a deathbed, but luckily, maybe she survived death? We don't know the background. So we need to talk. As we talk, let us use our tongue positively. As parents, we can have children who have different abilities. But when you see a child who has an ability that you don't want, you murder this baby, this girl, this young girl, even a primary chap who still has a long journey to develop herself. You murder her by identifying her with a weakness that she has got at that time. This reminds me I attended a friend's graduation. There's a girl, I was her mentor in secondary school. So when she was graduating, she called me for dinner. We were about only 10 people. But she had invited her uncle. And the uncle came with a daughter who had completed P7. That was the day exams were pronounced. So when they were coming from home to Kampala, they hadn't known the results. And the girl was excited, happy. Then all of a sudden she changed. She started crying. All her eyes were very red. I asked her, what has really happened? She says, my eyes are bad. I looked at her. Results have just come. Mm-hmm. She had got 10 and the father had just searched them. Mm-hmm. So he stood with her as he searched for the results. Mm-hmm. Whatever happened between them, she just came back when the eyes were very red. Mm. She failed to eat. It was a very nice meal that even when you cannot fail to have, but she didn't eat. So I looked at her and observed. I asked her, what has your dad told you? Because she was in a Kanungu private school. According to the Kanungu standards, we call it the first class school. Mm. But he was taking care of a niece who was in a primary school that is very public. And the one in a public school got 7. But this girl in a private school got 10.
A first class private.
Yes. So the father, I then came to the father. I was like, what have you told the girl? What are you talking about? How can she go there and waste my money? I've been paying money in this school, but those I was paying, nearly a quarter of hers have got 7 and she has 10. And you're telling me what? Me, I've abused her. Remember, you're in Kampala from Kanung, and you're abusing this girl, moreover, with a first grade. So I had to go back and talk to the dad. I insisted until he was able to talk to the daughter. Told her, you're my princess. I was joking, and the girl revived and life became fresh. And I kept wondering if he had not taken the initiative to talk to her again, what was going to happen to this girl? This is where people even decide to commit suicide because of one word that was told to them. There's one time, all of us, I know, Adrian, if you think about how you have grown up, you know, when we are girls, we are girls who start observing what are the features that we have, and someone made a comment, hey, Monica, you have big breasts. And I took it so badly. And every time I would walk, I would feel like maybe wearing a jumper. Little did I know that there were even more better gifts than those ones without, because they are apes actually.
Mine has always been a nose. And now, what I do in very many places, before anyone says it, I talk about my nose freely and it no longer hurts.
So I took the positive of a feature that people made me believe was bad. And I came to love it. So these words can kill us. These words can murder. Actually, they don't kill, but they murder. Be in school, be outside school. And today, I entered a class for the first time, a senior 3 class. And then after the introductions, I asked them what their expectations were for the term. And then the expectations from me as their teacher and from the whole class. But something intrigued me. Some girl said, we wish you do not segregate in gender. Some teachers segregate in gender. They belittle us as girls, and then they develop, or they try to build the boys. Another one was like, for us who sit at the back, there are some teachers who think that we join the back because maybe we fear the front. So please help us to also participate. And a lot more. So I realized that as a teacher, you're not only there to give matter, to look for matter from the learners. We have to befriend them and build them. And once we build them through our words, then these are going to become better. In my former school, a student came with a 46 after senior, for that was 3rd grade. Then she was about to be refused to join senior 5. We talked to the girl and talked to the girl. At the end, that was a time when it was still 25 points. She got 22 and joined Makerere University on government. Words. They can kill. Please, when you're going to say something to anyone, first think about it and make sure that whatever you're saying is building this person.
You've actually reminded me when we were in senior 6, one of the students who had not performed well at O level. This girl had got, I think, 56 aggregates at senior 4, so we were all like, yeah, me, I got this, I was better than her. And then as we were busy bragging, she was revising. Now comes senior 6, she gets 24 points. And you come back counting yours. So I think self-esteem is really a very strong trait that parents and stakeholders need to give attention. Like you say that in school, it shouldn't be only what is on the syllabus, because I believe even the curriculum caters for co-curricular activities, and I think this is one of the co-curricular activities, having such sessions where you help learners build their self-esteem. You know, I remember when I was in primary, I was in a government school, but we used to have people who come, and when someone, there was what they used to call bad touches. So this one, when someone does this, immediately run and report them to the teacher. And these days, children no longer report. They suffer with these things silently. So, and I think this is one of the reasons the number of vices are increasing in schools. So, we now look at the many youths who want to show the public that they are what they're not, you know. They want to live a fictitious life. So, someone moves around. I remember when the Arena Mall had just been opened, people were already posting. So you girls who want to show off, I want to remind you that Arena Mall is now open for selfies. And then someone takes a selfie at such a place. Even, we already see people around here on the 13th floor, someone comes and they start taking photos, reflecting the background, and you know, someone posts and then everyone will ask, hey, where are you? And this is the life young people want to be in. So someone goes to a fancy restaurant, a fancy cafe. They want to they take a picture of the food they're taking. You know, they take a picture of the environment and they post this. Now we realize that very many people are spending a lot of time and expenditure to live and maintain and sustain this fictitious life. So at the end of that day, you realize that they are spending more than what they earn, or their expenditure is higher than the income they get. Does self-esteem has a relationship with income and expenditure? Yeah. Okay, so please show us the relationship.
Self-esteem with income and expenditure. Actually, there's very many people do not even have what to spend. You can enter a very big hotel and take a bottle of water, pretending that you don't like that tea, because a cup of tea is 10,000 and water is only 4,000. It is good to do that. I encourage the young children to experience that, but don't go back bragging that you were in this better area.
And you take the water for 2 hours.
Now, how do the two connect? This goes back to peer pressure. This child comes to school, and because she's seeing a friend taking bread, she also wants to take a cake, because she wants to feel far much better than the friend. And moreover, she's taking a cake from the money she has borrowed from someone. And so the income and expenditure she frustrates herself because she thinks that is what can build her self-esteem. When she's wearing a very nice blouse that she has gotten from these high places at 100,000, then she feels far much better, but forgetting that another one has got the same blouse from Owino at 10,000. After ironing it, they are looking the same, they are similar. So because they tend to think so much about their self-esteem, about who they are, they want to be who they are not actually. We shall look at that when we come to our building of self-esteem. We tend to look who we are not, and then we find ourselves spending much more. Like now, I'm a teacher at Mengo, and because I want my Kanung people to see that I'm teaching at Mengo, I immediately go to the bank, get a loan, and buy a car, when I've not saved even half of buying that car. That is trying, because I want people to see me come when I'm driving. It is okay if I don't drive at this moment.
Our girl is now at Mengo.
Exactly. But that cannot stop me from being at Mengo, and that cannot stop my dream of buying a car. But I have to specify when I want this car and how much I have saved. What income do I have? How do I plan for this income? And then spend it accordingly, rather than spending what I don't have. I go buy a car, I even lack fuel, then park it home, and then start running helter-skelter on foot. So, likewise, the youth especially. Most of them, someone has come from home to school with a pocket money of 200,000, and he wants to spend it in one day, which is very possible. You can spend even 1 million in one day. So if you do that, next time you'll encroach on the school fees, just because you want to keep the standards.
So you talked about building self-esteem, and we cannot just close this program before helping people on how they can build this self-esteem. Because much as we are crying to teachers, much as we are crying to parents, we also have parents who lack self-esteem. Now, how will someone give what they don't have?
Yeah.
I think, how can we build self-esteem?
Thank you so much. How can we build our self-esteem? And the youth out there who are watching, and the parents who are watching, maybe who are going to talk to their children later, we should try our best to build our self-esteem. We should try the best to build the self-esteem of our friends and family. As parents, it is our responsibility to build the self-esteem of our children. My daughter, from the day she was like 5, she used to say, for her dream is becoming a Queen of England. I think she watched so many cartoons, and that was her esteem, where it was falling. Then she went to school, and when she said, out of people, a teacher asked what their dreams are, and for her she stood up confidently, because for me, when she told me, I said, yeah, you will be, even when I knew. But then the teacher, when she mentioned it, the teacher laughed so loud, and it really hurt her. And the kids, the whole class laughed, and they're like, that will never happen, forget it. She came back, that was her only dream. But then she knew, going to be a Queen of England, you must go through Gayaza High. That is all she knew. And she was struggling for Gayaza High. And then someone told her, you think you can make it to Gayaza High in Kanungu? The best you can get is a 6 aggregate, and Gayaza, they take up to 5. Then she would be like, Mommy, will I ever make it to Gayaza? Yes, you're going to make it. Now today she comes with different versions. People are calling her Queen when they don't know what her dream was. So she came and told, Mommy, I think I've come to realize that God has already fulfilled my dream. Where I'm going, I feel like I'm a queen. And I was, okay, wow. I was very happy. And I knew I had contributed to that. Because even when she would come, dissatisfied with comments, I would sit her down and find a way of building her again and telling her it is going to happen. And so this comes to, how can we build our self-esteem? And how can we build the self-esteem of those who are looking up to us? You asked a question. As parents, as teachers, do we build these learners' self-esteem when we don't have it? So we need to first look in our inner selves, in our inner voices, and see where we are losing the esteem ourselves. First build ourselves, and then help these people also to build their self-esteem. And I have a few points, the ways how we can, what we can move with step by step to build our own self-esteem and the self-esteem of those who are looking up to us. Number one, we should avoid negative talks. We should avoid negative thoughts about ourselves. Like I told you before, when I was still young, and whenever I would be walking, my arms were akimbo because of something I was trying to hide. And so we shouldn't think about our flaws only. Let us look at our strengths. What are those strengths that we have? What is in us that is more valuable? God created us with different skills. God created us with different strengths in life. Can you try to sit down and find out what yours is? You are not wrong all the time. There are times when you do good. And when you don't feel appreciated, you feel bad. But in your mind, do you know you have done good? If you know, please build on that and do not look only on the flaws. If you do not have big legs, it is okay. If you feel that wearing a long skirt will cover them and you're happy, it is fine. They are there in the market. But walk confidently. Make sure that you love yourself and you love everything good about you, not only looking at the bad and thinking negatively. I can't laugh because I don't laugh well. My eyes, my what? And then you are belittling yourself and then lowering your self-esteem. Let us focus on what is good about us. Then we stop comparing ourselves with others as number 2. Comparing ourselves with others. Someone comes to family TV, takes photos. Me, I love taking photos. But the photos I take are more like, what is that I love that helps develop my self-esteem? So do not compare yourself with others. Do not say, I want to look like Spice Diana. How does she look? Luckily, me, I don't put makeup. No, I'm just natural. Even if it is like a small one, yes, but there are people who really put makeup. And then the moment they wash their face and you take a photo, you cannot eat when they are seated there. And then for you look at the makeup, someone has eyelashes that are looking like, what do we call those things? The ghosts that we see in TV. The eyelashes are here, the fingers, and then you're there admiring her. You look at the figure, kumbe the figure is very artificial, and you want to look like her. You don't sleep. Do not compare yourself. There is something good about you that people will always love.
Be yourself, and
Be
then
yourself.
people will look at
Do
you
not
and admire.
compare. They will look at you, they will admire something, and if you feel it is not there, then find it, because it is there. It is there that people will love about you, and they will feel like also comparing themselves with you. Whether you're old or young, not that.
So, Monica, I know we are running out of time, but in a minute, or a minute and a half, what is your burning desire for an African youth?
My burning desire for my African youth. African youth out there, you are the pillar to the generation that is coming. You hold the candle. You hold everything it takes to make sure that what our generations are building, it will not go to waste. So I'm encouraging you to have dreams and not to back down on them. If you have already backed down on them, go back to where you failed and pick it from there. Was it your family? Was it the school? Was it maybe your failure to believe in yourself in something? Go back and find where it all went down the hill and come back, have a vision, have a dream, and do not back down despite the circumstances. Then explore your interests and potential. We all have potential in something. Explore it and you'll be happy. Be an honest person. Be an honest person and you'll be very happy. And trust your abilities to fulfill your dream. Abilities, even if you fulfill it today or tomorrow. I always loved to be on TV. The first time I saw Irene and Nena on this TV, in my heart I was like, yeah, I wish. But here I am. Maybe I wanted to be here that time years back, but God was preparing my way in his own way. Now I'm here. You will achieve whatever you want to achieve. Just be patient and give it time. If you don't achieve it this year, another year is coming. Just be patient. Then have a mentor. Have someone to mentor you. You can have a mentor physically or not physically. Have someone you admire. I admired Miriam Matembe. When she's on TV, when she's outside, and luckily on Sunday I met her at All Saints. If she's tuning in, let her know that I really admire her. Wow. And because I admire her, even without talking to her, there is a way I know it has built me as a person. Then make sure that you know this statement. No one can make you inferior without your consent. It is your consent in your mind, your consent to your conscience that makes you inferior. Otherwise, no one has a right to. Thank you.
Wow. No one has a right to make you inferior without your consent. Now, let us reflect on the story of David and how he became a king. I believe if you still doubt yourself, that will help you build your self-esteem. Thank you so much for watching Flourishing Hub today. It has been me, Adrian Austin Makalas, with Mrs. Monica Agaba. She'll be here sometime again. She's part of us. Thank you so much. God bless you. I've worked with Derek as a producer and Momoza Nabimanya in transmission. God bless you. Good night.